the resources, ability, and the will to run, my friend, run very fast.
If someone calls you to the side and they tell you they want to teach you how to make money, quick money in this Nairobi of ours, my friend, you are the man. Run very fast.
If you start dating a girl and barely 3 days into the relationship, she comes to visit, carrying a small handbag, but with a questionable weight, my friend, if you don't want to marry before your time, run!
Now, if you are sipping a cold one in a bar or a restaurant or a club along the road, and then you are approached by a very beautiful brown lady, and she looks like she's already in love with you. In fact, she is too touchy. Now, if you do not want to discover where Tebere is, my friend, run very fast.
If you are from Githurai, and around 7 or 8 p.m. namna this, you meet a beautiful lady, and she tells you that she's stranded. She wants a place she can spend only one night.
Hey.
My friend, if you don't want to be taught how to live in this Nairobi, run!
Now, we revisit the story of Omwami, a man who believed that if we die, we die. After all, something must kill a man.
A man whose life was full of determination and resilience, especially determination.
A man whose life was full of ups and downs, especially downs.
But he did not tire to flatten hills and field banks just to charter himself a path to success.
Omwami had suffered a couple of heartbreaks, but as the champion he is, he always found a way to bounce back.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the matters of the heart, Omwami was a champion.
I mean, let us just the facts. Number one, let us look at his first lover, his baby Nanjana. A girl with whom Omwami loved with all his body parts, only to find her being chewed on the banks of River Kibisi under a willing buyer, willing seller agreement with a man of extraordinary body parts.
Then came Juliet, a girl whom Omwami gave the whole of his heart. What did the girl do with the heart? She took the heart, chopped it into small pieces, marinated it, barbecued it down, then ate it with hambabas.
Then came Chepkemboi, favorably known as Chep, a girl with whom Omwami wanted to spend the rest of his life with, only to spend the rest of his life regretting why he had met her in the first place.
Up to Magda, a girl full kienyeji, whom Omwami never thought he would get betrayed. The hill he had chosen to die on, only for that hill to move to another country.
We cannot forget all those girls who dragged Omwami along the corridors of justice, maligning his name, denting his reputation, denying the man his livelihood.
But in all this, Omwami won both the battle and the war, and he carried the spoils of war home.
After all the running, resilience, and hiding, death has finally caught up with Omwami. An academic giant of our times, confidant of his mother, pride of his father. We from the combined villages of Sitiro and Sirakaru are gathered here to pay our last respects to a man, a myth, a legend, and everything that comes with it.
day funeral. The casket you see here does not contain the actual remains of Omwami.
No, it contains a banana stem. The last painful result we went for as we were seeking for closure.
We have combed the whole of Kijabe Forest, all adjacent hospitals, mortuaries, police stations, and prisons. We are unable to find Omwami's body, dead or alive.
But according to his father, Omwami came to him in his sleep and told him that we should stop the search, for he is in a better place. He has asked us to remember him, not for the very many bad things that he did, but for the little good things that he tried to do.
To give you a small background on his death, Omwami is said to have been brutally tortured and fatally wounded, and his body dumped deep inside Kijabe Forest, alongside Pastor Apostle Dr. Samuel of the Highway to Heaven Direct Ministries. These guys did not even want to steal from them, because their white Range Rover was found at the scene of their supposed death.
Only the body of Apostle Samuel was seen. As for Omwami, the only thing that we could find were the last clothes he was last seen in, drenched in blood that the government pathologist confirmed belonged to Omwami.
What grave sin had the son the soul committed for his ancestors to let him die this way?
What will happen to his soul?
The man of his legendary status deserves to rejoin his blood that kissed the ground during his circumcision ceremony. A man of this legendary status deserves to be buried in his ancestral land, where his umbilical cord was buried during his life.
My Petronilla, Omwami's mother, seated on the ground, wailing on top of her voice gone so from crying, wailing, and mourning her son. Her fellow churchgoers trying to comfort her, but she will not let herself be comforted.
What had happened to her pillar of strength? What had been her beacon of light to a better future?
No amount of words were enough to comfort her. Even these hymns that always brought her close to God now seemed like yours to her.
Although something must kill a man, when that thing kills the man, it is the woman who gave birth to him that suffers the most pain.
Mzee Baraza Omaina, Omwami's father, on the other hand, he looked unusually strong and composed.
The man was composed, no emotion on his face. His speech still remained straight like the leader he is. As the rest of us wondered how cruel the world had become, that a father now has to bury his own son.
What had happened to the promise of the ancestors? That a father will see all his children prosper before dying peacefully in his sleep.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mzee Baraza Omaina maintained his frame so good that we even started suspecting that he knows something that we don't know. But in such situations, you don't judge a man. Maybe he just wants to give his son a proper send-off. There is a bond between a father and a son that cannot be broken even by death itself. That is why Omwami even chose to come to his father in a dream.
Well, Omwami's church, Highway to Heaven Direct Ministries, is now all boots on the ground. It is now all hands on deck, because they want to ensure they give a proper send-off to their valued member.
Oh, their setup is amazing. I mean, they have a 500 100-seater dome tent.
15 huge JBL speakers.
A whole media and camera crew.
A glass pulpit from here up to there.
And they have 15 or 16 girls, I have not counted well, with brown ties and short skirts, white shirts. They are saying they are of praise and worship. Those girls are singing like angels. If you are new to this village, you will think that angels were going to heaven. Then they stopped here to take water.
I am telling you, those people were there, trying to make sure everything was in place. You could find the guy of the keyboard just trying to test it. The guy of the guitar was there, trying to test everything here and there. Of course, the drum sets were being tested here and there. The cymbals here and there. Even us in the village, we were not left behind. We were testing our shit.
After every 1 or 2 minutes, you will hear mic check 1, 2, 1, 2.
Glory, glory.
Mic check 1, 2, 1, 2.
Asante sana ndugu. Hii ni ya watu wa Nairobi.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we had not come to terms with is that this church has a female pastor calling herself Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha. And she keeps having side-by-side conversations and whispering with Mzee Barasa Omaina, Omwami's father. They keep making decisions, very major ones, bypassing we, members of the main committee.
We are the most important people in this village. But we can allow this because this woman of God has arrived in style. I am telling you, she arrived with 4 black SUVs, tinted, bulletproof, 15 bodyguards, 12 assistants, and a whole lorry full of food. She came with 5 bulls, 3 cows, and this ultra-modern coffin that you're seeing over here. She came in style, boy.
Now those of us who are used to being important people in funerals are just standing on the sidelines like spectators we are. We are important members of this village. Whenever there's an important funeral like this one, I'm always the chairman.
I am vice chairman.
When I am treasurer,
I am secretary.
But now we have been sidelined. Even our combined contribution of 250 shillings has not been announced by the MC. This woman that is calling herself Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha, her husband's body, her husband, Dr. Apostle Samuel,
The bishop?
yes, his body was found at the scene of Omwami's supposed death.
Okay, we are not good at maths, but if you put 1 plus 1, I think this church has sacrificed Omwami on the black altars.
We are just being adults about this because if we say it,
Itakuwa bad. Anyway, the church insists that Omwami ran a good race, fought a good fight. And now they want to commit his body, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, so that his soul may be promoted to glory. Glory, glory, glory.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
If the church is seeking closure, Mzee Barasa Omaina wants this matter dispensed with, and by burying whatever we have in that casket, we will give my Petronilla peace. Who are we? Let us do what brought us here.
Yes.
We will mourn our hero and eat that food they have brought us, because that food cannot go to waste. Even if the devil himself brought it, we will eat.
My brother, come. You see, we might look and sound stupid villagers from a remote village, but from our independent forensics, our investigations have uncovered a controversial CCTV clip.
Omwami is seen boarding a white Range Rover. Remember, this was the last day he was seen anywhere. He is seen boarding a white Range Rover, the same car that was found at the scene of his supposed death. He is seen in company of Dr. Apostle Samuel of the Highway to Heaven Direct Ministries. Husband husband to Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha, a man whose body was found on the scene of Omwami's supposed death. Omwami is again seen wearing a white shirt, a maroon khaki trouser, Supreme designer shoes, a Dolce & Gabbana bomber jacket, the same clothes we found on the scene of his supposed death, drenched in his blood.
No. My brother, we are not good at maths. But if you put 1 + 1, here, Omwami looks like he is oppressed. He looks like a lamb being led to slaughter. And yet he did not utter a word.
This clip is eliciting a lot of questions. Imagine Dr. Apostle Samuel of the Highway to Heaven Ministries, a man who is known to move with not less than 3 vehicles in a convoy plus a chase car, was on that day moving with only 1 vehicle.
This man's preferred brand of vehicle was a Toyota, specifically a Land Cruiser. Hey, what's that car? A Land Cruiser. On this day, the man is still in a white Range Rover Vogue.
Now, another question is, Dr. Apostle Samuel is known to be a man who is very serious about his personal security. But on that day, he was moving with only 1 man, Omwami, as opposed to his traditional 5 bodyguards. Omwami is a man who is not known to have taken any course in defensive driving. He has no knowledge of martial arts and has no experience in hand-to-hand combat.
Omwami also is a very junior member of Highway to Heaven Direct Ministry. We wonder why he was trusted with the life of the most important man in this church, the most powerful man on earth. This man, Apostle Samuel, was God's most trusted influencer on earth.
Now, clearly here, maswali ni mengi, masali machache. But as long as this fire is lit, we are finishing that story tonight. We will not bury Omwami until we get to the bottom of this matter. Don't worry, wadau. We will unravel for you this mystery. Tupo site.
Apostle Samuel and his beautiful wife, Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha, they are not new to Omwami and his family. In fact, they are touted as the best thing that ever happened to them in their entire life.
I mean, this couple picked Omwami from the village where he was about to waste his life and converted him into a young, successful, brilliant, God-fearing Christian.
For those of you who are with us during the first show, Linda, I can see you give a shout out to you. You know very well that Omwami had been accused of sexually assaulting a young woman, but had been cleared by the High Court of Law, seated at Milimani. Now, the man thought that he had been given a clean bill of health.
He has never been more wrong. Although the courts gave him a clean bill of health, the stain that case put on his reputation was here to stay. And on this one, God of the boy child abandoned him.
You see, the man tried to go back to his former job at Kenton. But upon arrival, he realized that he had been replaced kitambo. I mean, jobs nowadays are like Nairobi relationships. One day you don't text back, the following day you have been blocked everywhere and replaced. In fact, these ladies say they don't chase, they do what? There are no ladies here, they replace.
A man who secured employment immediately after graduation For the first time, he experienced this thing we call tamaki.
I am telling you, Omwami tamaked. His shoe ate the road. Now ambia iligula. The shoe ate the road properly until the side of the sole was sliced like those global merchants.
Ladies and gentlemen, in every organization Omwami went to, although recognizing his academic excellence, they did not want to associate with him in any way because his stained reputation would hurt their otherwise good standing.
Now, when everything seemed to be lost, Omwami on the verge of giving up, in fact, he had fallen into deep depression, a lot of mental health problems. Apostle Samuel picked him from the streets and showed him the way to God. He quoted the Holy Book when he said that, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God.
Oh, glory, glory, glory. Apostle Samuel said that Omwami had been judged harshly by people of the earth, but he was welcome at the feet of the Most High because he is the only one who will judge all of us on the judgment day.
According to Apostle Samuel, Omwami's story will make for a very good testimony on Sunday. I mean, he had gone through it all, and for this, he promised to give Omwami a job in the church.
For in the Lord's vineyard the harvest is plenty, but workers are few.
Oh, glory, glory, glory. Hallelujah.
Now, Highway to Heaven Direct Ministries is not this your normal village churches that are at the far end of the village in a dilapidated structure at the edge of the village where women wail the whole day
with
in the name of praying to God.
With men clapping as if they are hitting two pieces of wood together.
What they call an ultra-modern chapel.
Oh, a what now?
A mega church.
Oh.
Lord's Tabernacle. See, madhabahu? These are churches where praise and worship people are trained. You don't just wake up after singing in the shower and you say you have the goodness of the Spirit. No!
When it comes to praise and worship in this church, you have to fast for several days, go without meals, go without these conjugal visits, and then go for auditions. After auditioning, if you qualify, where are you taken?
You are taken to training.
Where?
In Malindi. They fly in a person they call a psalmist to train you. Now they praise God with a touch of class. Oh, amen. You know those kind of things. The Hillsong kind of things. I know Robert cannot relate.
He's a man of
Now, this is a church that is well organized
with a very huge capacity of congregants.
1,250 people that are served by the servant of the Lord in 2 church services. No crowding.
These 2 church services are always full. And this church had functional administrative structures.
There is at the church, the tabernacle. Then there is a separate Sunday school. Not these churches you go to where children come early for Sunday school. Then when they go away, now adults come for service. These ones have a separate Sunday school. There is a separate media station whose mandate is to project the service on the mega screens. put up a live broadcast for any church activity. Then there's a separate small private school offering both IGS, CSE, and CBC. Then there's a separate children's home, orphanage and disability center. This is an organized what?
Church. Apostle Samuel was both the administrative and spiritual leader of this church, deputized by his beautiful wife, Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha. These two were loved by everyone in the church. In fact, they call them Mom and Dad.
That is why on the entrance to the mega church, there was a billboard, boldly inscribed with the name of the church. Then there is a picture of Mom and Dad, both smiling, majestic. Can your church even produce a poster?
No. And the compound of this church, heavy laden with all the heavy machines that you can imagine. In fact, some of the vehicles in this compound, parking lot, have never been seen anywhere again.
Omani, on arrival in this church, appreciated the true gifts of God to his important people.
But then, you know, all these things are just vanity.
Here are people with cars, people with navio, people with money, education. But it is only in Christ, at the Highway to Heaven Direct Ministries, that they found peace. Oh, happy are those who seek the Lord,
For they shall find it.
oh, glory.
Glory, glory, glory. Hallelujah.
Omwami was an astute keyboard player. And what better way to praise the Lord than to use this skill in church?
The man had learned this skill way back in campus from Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, JKUAT. And he wanted to use these skills to praise the Lord.
When he joined the praise and worship team on the first Sunday, the Sunday service was on fire.
Fire! Total deliverance.
The man displayed skill and opulence, switching from key to key, transpose to transpose.
And whenever Omwami joined the praise and worship, hey, the congregants danced in a way that can only be equal to that of David in the Bible. And the word
that day, my friends, it went home. I am telling you, Omwami complimented it book by book,
chapter by chapter,
verse by verse,
word by word.
oh, glory, 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 glory. His keyboard skills earned him a place of high respect amongst the church congregants. When a position arose, they unanimously suggested that he be appointed the administrator of church affairs.
His mandate included being in charge of church operations, being in charge of praise and worship, and also being in charge of youth welfare, a position that came with its own privileges and temptations.
Now, see me again. Highway to Heaven Ministries, as a matter of principle, was a church whose mandate was to bring people closer to God and not judge them. Their preaching did not involve fire and brimstone, people being told they will go to hell. No.
In this church, there was no dress code, because God looks at the soul and not the
Body.
body.
After all, in heaven we will be given new bodies.
Yes.
Why spend time covering this one?
Omwami also discovered why Apostle Samuel was called God's most trusted influencer on earth. Apostle gave allowances to beautiful young ladies who dressed attractively in order to attract young men to come to church to find wives.
If one sheep followed another sheep to the temple of God, was there a problem? Omwami chose to mind his business. After all, influencers in the house. If an influencer gives out merchandise, is he not doing his work? Very good.
Omwami also discovered that in the praise and worship team, there was a certain lady called Tamara.
Tamara.
Can you tell this guy about Tamara?
Tamara is this kind of ladies that illuminate a room when they come in.
Oh.
They share the goodness of the Holy Spirit. And when she sings, you find yourself moving closer to God.
I am telling you, Tamara had an angelic voice. Whenever Tamara sang, heaven would leave everything they were doing and look down in amazement. Whenever Tamara sang, we will all be drawn closer to God.
But Omwami discovered that God's most trusted influencer was also a talent scout. And she had discovered that talent is not just about singing. She had discovered that this girl's hand would hold more than just the praise and worship microphone. He had also discovered that this girl's throat will do more than just singing.
And Omwami chose to ignore this.
Judge ye not, you will also not be judged.
Now, there was this one thing that Omwami refused completely to ignore. Was the fact that whenever he was playing the keyboard, Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha would look at him as if he was a piece of snack.
He was not sure whether it was the goodness of the Spirit that was brought by the tunes of the keyboard, or he was sending a subtle message that his fingers will do more than just pressing the keyboard.
This went on for some time. Sometimes during the praise and worship session, Omwami caught Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha staring at him.
I know you are not getting this because maybe you have not described Prophetess Samantha.
You see, Prophetess Samantha is this charming, bubbly, brown, beautiful lady who was spiritual and always encouraged young men and women to come to church.
Those of you who are fans of that website, she's categorized as a MILF. Now, Prophetess Samantha is this kind of bubbly, charming women. They dress decently, very spiritual, approachable, and good at guiding and counseling.
Everybody loved Prophetess Samantha. In fact, they called her mom. And this title irritated her because in the 10 years she's been married to Apostle Samuel, they've never had a child of their own. But she never showed it because she knew that God's time is the best. He had done it for Hannah, he did it for Sarah, and in his own appointed time, he will do it for her and she will become a mother.
Although privately, she preferred if God could have fast-tracked the process, because you know Mapema is also based. Good, my dog. Just allow us to interrupt this story for a minute, because there are things happening in this film we need to attend to.
upside down. We are being shown things we have never ever seen before.
Mzee Baraza of mine is in cahoots with Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha to deny us the small joys that come with mourning a hero.
Let me tell you, you know, in the village, the women's caucus, maendeleo ya wanawake, the women's guild are the cartels when it comes all matters cooking in each and every event. Now, today, they are stranded in the cooking tent because apparently, Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha brought in 5 professional chefs and a fully fledged catering company who are cooking for us.
As much as we don't want to be petty about this, we don't care who is cooking, but the problem is, what are they cooking? Our scouts from the tent are reporting that all they are seeing is rice.
White rice,
Brown rice,
green rice,
Indian rice,
vegetable rice,
pilau rice,
bag rice.
Naimua rice.
The
The question is, where is the ugali? Another thing that will cause war in this funeral, and I am foreseeing people fighting here. So that the time allocated for us to have this Komatanga has been taken over by the church.
You see, the whole essence of going to a funeral is so that you can dance in the disco matanga.
Some of these dances happen in the darkness. We find a way of replacing the one who has died.
Some of these dances at disco matanga are auditions for a husband who wants to marry the 3rd, 4th, and 5th wife. Now they are telling us that you cannot dance in disco matanga.
They have converted our disco matanga into a crusade. They are asking us to give our lives to Christ.
Now, how can you give a boring life to Christ?
We have been adults about the situation in this funeral for too long. Okay, let us add this one. They can cook whatever they want. We will eat whatever they will offer. Fine.
What a big.
They can take the time allocated for us to have disco matanga and have their crusade. We will find a way of dancing in that crusade. But one thing we are not going to accept here is that they are planning to dig Omwami's grave using an excavator.
A what?
Have you ever seen something like that?
An excavator. Oh man, is this a construction site? I know they always told Omwami ukikufa tutakujenga, but surely.
I mean, the whole essence of going to someone's funeral and feeling that you have given them a proper send-off is participating in the grave digging.
Yes, going through the maram, sweating over there.
Battling people whose wives beat them without the fear of being attacked.
Oh, changa here, changa there.
Roasting chicken on the graveside.
Especially roasting chicken on the graveside.
We have been to this homestead before. We know that that chicken is there. We even know its color.
You see, where we come from, as a show of loyalty, you always tell your brother, see me you, I will dig your grave. In fact, when we meet anywhere out away from the village, maybe in towns like Kisumu, Nairobi, Mombasa, Nakuru, we always tell them, hey, you are a true brother to me. When you die, if you die before me, I will dig your grave.
In fact, the only reason we buy for people alcohol is because if we die, they will dig our graves. And remember, this is the most important qualification when you want to inherit your brother's wife.
Yes.
How can you inherit someone's wife and you did not bury them with respect?
You did not dig their grave.
Don't you want that driver to
You understand?
I'm emotional.
Yes. In fact, I will dig your grave.
You will inherit my second wife.
No, Simi, have you heard? Let me not find you there. Telling you these people are rich and young, rich and famous. Take Mato Martinez, for example. An alumni of PC High. at the tender age of 24, the man was blessed enough to bless others. He was so rich, he ran a children's home and a disability center. He schooled, clothed, and fed these children for free.
Then there was someone called Kevo, aka Kevin, aka Voke. The man was a graduate of Jomo Kenyatta University, specializing in software engineering. The man was the go-to person in any matters concerning cryptocurrency. He had a fintech firm that served payments all over Africa. This was a man who was blessed, a hand that is blessed so that it blesses others. At one point, he did a whole month's shopping for the whole church. In this economy, a whole month's shopping for the whole church.
We cannot go without mentioning Kipruto Kip from Mulot, a genius from birth. The man had used his brainy parts to be the most renowned doctor in the entire continent. In fact, the man majored in fertility. The man was so rich and had family values to an extent that he wanted to be included in all the wedding committees. If you had a wedding, you just call him and he'll come there, be in the committee, and contribute 3/4 of the whole budget. And he did not ask for anything in return. In fact, he had a convoy of cars that he was more than happy to lend you to use in your wedding for free.
Another notable person in the innermost circle was a strange guy whose name was not known, but all we know is that he is of Congolese origin. The man was both generous and kind at the same time, and he could gift mom and dad at any convenience, any event in their life. For example, during Apostle Samuel's birthday, at any given point of the year, and he had 3 every year. The man would gift him a new car, Land Cruiser V8. Given, we were sure. As for mom, at any slightest inconvenience in her life, the man would gift her something. I mean, mom has a headache.
Range Rover.
Mom has a wedding anniversary.
A new home.
Mom is stressed.
Hey, mom ngapata stress. Ngachukua mom ngapeleka Santorini. Mom ngatulia, mom ngatoa stress kwa kichwa.
Ngakula maisha pamba.
Mom ngafurahia maisha. Mom ngacheka cheka. Mom ngaambia watu mlienda huko ndio.
Hiyo ngatosha.
Now, these people formed part of the innermost circle. They were untouchable. In fact, they did not need to book an appointment to meet the apostle. These people were so trusted that the apostle will delegate some of these issues for them to handle. You see, each and every Wednesday, people will line up to go and see the apostle, to tell him some of their problems so that the apostle can pray for them, so that their prayers can be answered. Now, whenever these people visited on this place, the apostle could delegate some of the problems to them. Like if you don't have fare, you don't have hospital bills, no school fee, no rent, they could easily foot those ones so that the apostle can concentrate on serious matters.
I mean, under the principle of God works through people, these were the people that God worked through. And they helped clear the jam of small problems so that their big problems are attended to.
Yeah, in fact, this is why the church is called Highway to Heaven Direct Ministries. They have a direct line to heaven. One prayer, 2 answers.
Apostle and this clique met every Tuesday, and these meetings were top secret.
On these days, everybody was given the day and night off. All the CCTV cameras were switched off.
Mommy always wondered what went on in these prayer meetings. He was sure that it was at these prayer meetings that the direct line to heaven was open and blessings poured. In fact, his only prayer was to be included in those prayers.
Na Mungu ni nani? Huyu Mungu ni Mungu wa ajabu.
Mungu ni Mungu wa ajabu. Huyu Ada alichukua utamu akaweka kwa matunda, ingine kwa mananasi, ingine akaweka kwa wamama.
Now, some way, somehow, this Congolese fella nga disappear, nga potea, nga mwaya. Now, this created a space in the innermost circle under the patronage of Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha. Omwami was fronted as the most recommendable candidate to fill this spot.
After a series of interviews, scrutiny, prayer and fasting, interviews, and an agreement to the understanding that whatever Omwami was going to do or hear in those innermost circle prayer meetings was secret, and divergence of such secrets would lead to the loss of everything, up to and including his life. Omwami was welcomed into the innermost circle, and they sang, Hakuna Mungu kama wewe.
Oh, they sang that song to, just celebrate his being inducted into the innermost circle. Now, during the first meeting of the innermost circle with Omwami as a new member, secrets of the innermost circle started flowing in the air. Oh, when the secrets started flowing in the air, Omwami regretted why he had been curious in the first place. In fact, he realized that he had dug himself a hole that would prove very hard to climb out of.
Omwami discovered that although Pastor Apostle Dr. Samuel of the Highway to Heaven Direct Ministries preached the Holy Word, the man was in fact an evil genius. The man had undocumented ventures that the DCI Peter admin would term as stinking to high heavens.
Omwami discovered, for example, that Apostle Samuel, through Mato Martinez, ran a series of rescue centers and children homes for these disabled people and orphans all over major towns in Kenya. Children here and disabled people were sourced from all over the world, from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, the DRC, Southern Sudan.
Given the packaging and positioning of these children centers and disability centers, donors from Western countries contributed millions and millions of dollars and pounds to aid in their running. But that was not even the point. That was not the gist.
In each of these centers, there were 100 dedicated children who were professional beggars, and they were placed in strategic places in major towns in such a way that each children would bring home 2,000 Kenyan shillings per day.
After mathematics at night, when the collections are done, the apostle would make between 3 and 5 million per night.
And what you also discovered that the apostle, through Kipruto Kip, the genius from Lot, ran an operation of miracle babies. Now, in this operation, they will buy children and babies from poor women from as far as Southern Sudan, then come to Kenya and sell them to rich women for obscene amounts of money. Now, these rich women will then come to church the following Sunday and then testify on the goodness of God.
Ladies and gentlemen, some of the ventures that Apostle Samuel had, we cannot mention them on this stage. This put Omwami in that war of morality versus financial stability. But as Kenyans, we know that the enemy is poverty. As long as money is there, we will go with the flow. Omwami thought that his inclusion into the innermost circle was by luck, when in fact it was by design.
Hey.
Those of you who were with us in the first show, you know that Omwami is an engineer, trained in the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, and has experience working at Kenji. Now, Apparently, in his workings, Dr. Apostle Samuel had traveled to the Democratic Republic of Congo, made friends with the warlords who allowed him to open a church and a children's center in Congo, Katanga region. They had also gifted him a gold mine.
Now, the apostle was planning to use these orphans from this children's home to help him mine the gold from these gifted gold mines. But he realized that he needed credentials of a certified engineer in order to trade on the global market.
All Omwami had to do was to give Apostle Samuel his credentials, papers and degrees, sign a few papers here and there, and he was good to go.
It was like a Nairobi politician asking you, Maximaelo, to give him your degree certificate for presentation at the IEBC for clearance. Makaratasi ni kitu ya kunyima mtu shua.
Now, Omwami would now get 10% of the proceeds from these gold mines.
The man was back in money, but before we go there, we want a tune from the band, man. He was in the oil, and to look the part, the man jumped class and was now not just a junior member of the church. No, the man was a respectable member of the church with his own means.
I mean, the man was the face of a mining operation in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and he had to look the part. He was now walking around with a MacBook, giving presentations to investors on the safety of the mines and the legality of the workforce.
Now, truth be told, Omwami did not know where these mines were located. In fact, he never knew if they existed or they were just a creation of Apostle Samuel in order to trade on the global markets.
But as long as he was getting his 10% religiously, he was game. He kept playing the game.
Yes. Now, 6 months, things started happening in the life of Omwami.
In 6 months' time, he transferred all his siblings to boarding school, for education is the key.
In 6 months' time, the man built his mother a mansionette and went ahead to polish and fabrify it.
Furnish it.
Oh, furnish it with ultra-modern household items.
In 6 months' time. In 6 months' time, Omwami's personal lifestyle changed. He got himself an apartment in the city, a house in the village, and another house between the city and the village. The man started changing cars like they were underwears for those who wear it.
Now, you see, being part of the innermost circle had its own perks and dangers.
Being the face of a mining operation in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a war-torn country, Omwami automatically inherited the enemies of Dr. Apostle Samuel and the enemies of his warlord friends.
And now the man now had to tread carefully, because these are the things that can kill a man.
The man is said to have started walking around with a small metal that spits fire.
Akiwoki na kinini kidugutu. Akiwoki na kinini kidugutu. Akiwoki na kinini kihaha.
The man could not stay in one place for more than 4 hours. In fact, whenever he was out of town, he stayed in specific hotels.
And to avoid the DCIs and other prying members of the government, the man moved around in a chopper, a helicopter. And that is how, for the very first time in the combined villages of Sitero and Sirakaru, we saw a chopper for the very first time.
Photographer was on site to document this moment. If you doubt us, we have an album there. We will show you. We made photos.
You hammered the photos?
Now, we as the opinion shapers of the village, everyone was asking us, where does Omwami get his money? And we had to provide answers to maintain our reputation. So we made a small meeting and decided that Omwami had joined the Illuminati.
But it was easy.
It was evident.
Look, in 6 months, he was able to move the entire village to boarding school.
In 6 months, he built his mother a house and furnished it.
In 6 months, the man was changing cars like pandis and matching them with his tie. 666 Illuminati.
Easy mathematics.
The guy was now in Illuminati.
And that is where our beef with this church here started. This church is a devil-worshipping church.
It was just a matter of time before this church asks for one to sacrifice one of his parents or one of his many siblings. Oh, these things are not for free.
They are never for free. We have heard these stories before, Bwana.
These things are not for free.
Never.
Anyway, so Omwami is here. He's here. Omwami is here. And the chopper is here. He's an admin.
He is living that.
He is living like a king.
He's no longer the lowly member of the church that people just look around to book appointments with the apostle.
Yeah.
The man is now an established fella.
Everybody feared him. Even us from the villages would just flash him, and then he sends us 200 Kenyan shillings.
Yeah. When we have a celebration, we know that Omwami will provide food and everything that comes with it.
Yes. Now, Omwami felt like he was in debt of the prophetess, Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha, because she had played a part in him being part of the innermost circle. In fact, this thing was not for free.
He was now exposed to a life of luxury, and not just for himself, but for his family and the whole combined villages of Sitero and Sirakaru.
Now, the man felt like he was indebted to the prophetess because she had earned him a spot in the innermost circle. But this was not for free. After every meeting of the innermost circle, Omwami will then go to the office of Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha to give her a brief of what they had talked about in the innermost circle. Now, this was already a breach. But even the fact that the prophetess is the one who earned him the spot, did he have a choice?
As a matter of fact, you might think that is the hard part. Here is the hard part. Whenever Omwami finished briefing Prophetess Samantha, she would give him a brethren hug. These hugs that make you stop thinking with this one, you start thinking with that one.
This went on for some time. And one day, the prophetess bluntly told Omwami that she wanted bodily relations with him.
Bodily what?
Bodily relations with him. The man was shocked. He was not used to this.
The prophetess confessed that Omwami's keyboard skills made her shy, and his handsomeness had consumed her.
She confessed that she felt safe whenever she was in the arms of Omwami. In fact, she felt like a real woman. She felt young and loved.
Omwami, being a village boy, was not used to this direct attack kind of seductions where women shoot their shot and start sipping.
But then he remembered the words of his great-great-grandfather, the eternal words of his great-great-grandfather. Loosely translated as,
seek the one which is open, for the closed one is not yours.
That means you can never have bodily relations with a married woman ever.
But then he remembered the words of his father, a perennial serial womanizer, with 5 known wives and a multitude of children, telling him, Mwana, sindu sinosa serikoli koflota. No nyoli kupa.
Loosely translated as, my son, sometimes a man has got to do what a man has got to do.
Coupled with the wise counsel of Wambiria, a seasoned seduction expert who had in fact chewed Omwami's first girlfriend on the banks of River Kinis. He told him,
Nyanyo mwana no shirimulamu. Loosely translated as, in this life, humble yourself and you will go far.
Okay, you can have your own version.
But according to Wambilianga, this is what he meant.
Here was a woman, all humble, waiting for the prophetess to suggest how far they go.
Now, Omwami was now in a dilemma. On one hand, Apostle Samuel had picked him from the streets, washed him, changed him into this handsome-looking Christian boy, and put him into money himself.
On the other side was Prophetess Sama, a woman who had played her cards well to expose him to a life of luxury. Remember, not just for himself, but for the entirety of his family and the combined villages of Sitiho and Srakaru.
Omwami remembered how he had suffered in the hands of men whenever he tried to find a woman to love.
Well, how men with extraordinary body parts had chewed his girlfriend. How men with money had snatched him girlfriends in the university. And now it seemed like Karima was befriending him. And he had in his full reins the ability to bring around what goes around, and this time with momentum.
Now, history has proved it not once, not twice, not thrice, that a man embarking on a journey of revenge should dig how many graves? 2 graves.
One for himself and one for his enemy. But he don't want me have it in him to revenge. You know, revenge is one of the things that can kill a man.
Here was a chance for Omwami to get even if it means that he will die. If we die,
we die.
After all, something must kill a man. Come. Something is happening in the belly.
Allow us to interrupt the story once again. Let us go back to this funeral. There are matters to be solved.
You see, one of Omwami's drunk uncles has asked a question that all of us have been afraid to ask ever since the news of his passing came to public.
Sometimes we thank God for alcohol. The man has asked if Omwami has ever been married.
Now, I know most of you will not take this matter with the seriousness it deserves, but where we come from, a bachelor and a married man have very, very different final rights. You see, for a married man, it's always special. I mean, the man is buried strategically in front of the house where anybody coming into the compound can see his grave. In fact, future generations can look at his grave and say, there lies a respectable ancestor.
He was accorded 7 days of pure mourning, with all family members shaving their heads to signify the fall of a family man.
3 cows will be slaughtered by his uncles, his sons, and his peers.
For a bachelor, on the other hand, you are buried behind your mother's house in a shallow grave that is flattened after 40 days to do away with the spirit of bachelor.
Yes, after all, who will remain to remember you? Who will remember you? You know, you are just like a seed that has been cast on the rocks, or a hunter's arrow that has hit a female hyena.
A female hyena, even Wajakoya cannot do his thing with that hyena.
But seriously,
you are a spent force.
you are a stupid man.
Good for nothing.
Buff.
Waste of time, resources, and money. Are you married?
Oh, moving on swiftly now. There was no way is there a way that we can give money a special send-off? You know, like just avert this humiliating send-off of being buried behind his mother's house with a thorn implanted in his exit.
I know we have had beef with this church, but at this point, I think it is wise to hand over the burial program to the church.
Yes. Because it's time to just forget our archaic traditions and rituals and serve the Lord. Give our life to God. This is the right time to give our life.
But tell me, my brother, who is willing to ignore tradition and invite Luz to his home?
I am not.
The curse that comes with ignoring our ancestors, who is willing?
I am not.
Hey, we are in a tight situation. Let me tell you, truth be told, none of us can stand and testify that we have ever taken Omwami to any dowry negotiation.
No cows mowed, no women are
It is bad.
It is bad.
We are just being strong. Things are thick here.
But looking back, I think we are to blame for Omwami dying a bachelor.
You are right. You are right. The fact that Omwami is going to be buried solely lies on the backs of the men from City Hall and Sirakan. And we are going to say these things in the committee, even if it means being expelled from this village.
I mean, Omwami had all the intentions of marrying, but we are the ones who failed.
I don't remember the exact year, but there's a year when Omwami's money was right. He had met a girl in Nakuru City and brought her to this village for our approval in order for him to marry.
It was all excitement as Omwami introduced to us our mulamua, our hymn. to her, Mama.
This was a woman exposed, liberal, educated with her own brains and money.
Now, Stephanie, aka Steffi, or as Omwami referred to her, Mama, was introduced to us, and we realized that this was a girl with her own brain and her own money. But there was something amiss about this woman. Soon she started showing her real colors.
As soon as Omwami went down on one knee and proposed, that girl changed Omwami completely.
Omwami, a guy who was available to us 24/7, now had some sort of a curfew. You know, the man could only be available whenever Stephanie, aka Steffi, or as Omwami referred to her, Mama, said so.
You see, whenever Omwami came to the village, we knew that we were going to blow his money. It was our duty to take him around the village, show him new Chang'aa dens, and he will be buying us samples here, samples there, samples there. But this time, he will tell us, bro, Saina spent some time na Mama.
You see, the whole essence of coming back to the village is so that you can spend time with your childhood friends. But whenever Stephanie, aka Steffi, or as Omwami called her, Mama, was around, one warned us strictly not to speak Kibukusu.
Omwami, a man who had constructed his first complete sentence in English at class 7, was forcing us who dropped out in class 7 to speak English.
In fact, whenever Stephanie was around and wanted to speak any other language apart from Swahili or English, he will tell you, no, Mama hapendi hivyo.
You come with a very boiling story you want to tell Omwami is that
hey, Mama hapendi hivyo. Hey, English. Mama hapendi hivyo.
Omwami, a man who was available on the phone 24/7, despite his busy schedule, was no longer available. When you call him, he will tell you, bro, Sai, I spent some quality time na Mama, sinikuhale badai.
Omwami, a man whom when you just flashed him, he will send you 200 Kenyan shillings. Now whenever you flashed him, he will call you back and tell you, hey bro, najua ni nini unataka, but ngoja kwanzaniconsult na Mama. Unajua siku hizi doors na handlewa na Mama, yeye ndio wako in charge ya finances. So acha niulize Mama kama anaweza toa kitu kwa joint account, alafu kama kuna kitu hapo kwa account yetu na Mama, tutakusukumia.
To make matters worse, whenever there was a ceremony in the village, Stephanie, aka Steffi, or as a man called her, Mama, will take on lighter duties only.
When the rest of our wives struggled with mountains of ugali, washing matumbo to edible levels, all Stephanie, aka Steffi, or as Omwami referred to her, Mama, did was prepare kachumbari and open sodas for VIP visitors from Nairobi.
To make matters worse, again for the third time, this woman dressed in whatever she wanted.
Short skirts, short dresses, hot pants, cold pants, going black. I can't say that. Going without it.
I know Baba's here will ask us, why are you protesting about Titi Tuesday every day? But no.
This was bad. Is this the kind of influence that we want for our daughters?
In this village, we have a dress code.
It is a strict dress code and it was simple and easy to understand. Women should put on whatever we are comfortable in seeing them in. Is that hard?
Is that too much to ask for? But when we asked Omwami to intervene, he will tell us, oya, 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 wachana na mama.
Wachana na mama.
Okay. As I told you when we started, as we are adult about very many things until you press us. Okay. The fact that Stephanie had sat on Omwami, it is none of our business.
In fact, is there a man in the audience who can 100% tell us that they have not been sat on by their girlfriends? If you are such a man, raise your hands.
Is wrong.
Wana, we know you.
No,
Bonnie. There is Bonnie. Can you 100% tell us that your wife does not sit on you?
No, for that, we have no problem. Yes. We are experiencing that. It's just that we don't go around announcing our
problems.
The fact that she took on lighter duties during celebrations to secure her pedicure and manicure, it is fine. After all, the food that our wives struggled to cook, it is Omwami who buys it.
Okay. The hell, we don't care what she dresses. Her dress, her choice. But there's one thing that made us unite as the whole entire male species of the combined villages of Sitiho and Siraka. This woman was having a bad influence on our wives.
He started preaching this thing you call equality and empowerment. And such ideas are not welcome in the combined villages of Sitiho and Siraka. Never. I mean, me, Aluya man, Bukusu for that fact, coming out of Changadens, having eaten my properties, singing to my ancestors on the road, I get to my home, knock the door using a flying kick, expecting my wives and children to have lined up with a choir to welcome me and a hot meal. I get to my home and my wives have not cooked because of why? And it is my duty to wash utensils.
What is that? Okay, let us make this clear. It's not that we are not pro-women empowerment. In fact, away from the village, we are the champions of women empowerment.
We empower our women in the village in our own small ways. I mean, we give them money for chama. We allow them to choose what we are eating today. We give them their fair share of the work in the shamba.
But there are things that we cannot allow in the combined villages of Sitiho and Siraka.
Because here, we the men are the prize.
We are the prize, Bwana.
And there are rules and regulations in this village that must be followed, even if who you are.
You see, Nedi, for example, in the combined villages of Sitiho and Sirakaru, a woman can only speak when she is spoken.
Is that too much to ask for? In the combined villages of Sitiho and Sirakaru, women dress in what we are comfortable with. After all, who is buying those clothes? We.
Ryan, in the combined villages of Sitiho and Sirakaru, women belong where? The kitchen. Yes, there.
Is that too much to ask for? We are not even asking for too much. And this woman is coming from wherever she has come from, wants to poison our society.
To walk them.
Who is she? Walking who? Who told them they are asleep?
Bwana.
They
woke up 5 a.m. to go and dig the shower. Well, we are the prize.
We are the prize in this village.
Well, we wake up very early in the morning, go to the banks of River Kivisi, bathe cold water, and then sun our balls as we wait for our bandits to dry.
Ladies and gentlemen, this made us unite as the members of the combined villages of Sitiho and Sirakaru in order to protect the boy child from this walk invasion. The plan was one, to set my Petronilla, Omwami's mother, and and Stephanie, aka Steffi, or as Omwami referred to her, Mama. Loggerheads.
on a collision course.
We were to set them on a tangent that was going to collide. So we came up with a story and went to look for Mai Petronila. After consuming her ugali, we told her, Mai, you know it is not in our place, but things might happen. Then you say that we don't tell you.
So we are here to tell you in advance so that you know we are on your side.
We have always been on your side, Mai. Mai Petronila got interested. Then we told her, the things we are about to say might bring problems. She bribed us with the tea.
Yes.
When we were drinking tea, Mai was like, what's a mumble? Tell me.
We told Mai Petronila, this story is too sweet. Can you look for Mandazi or some accompaniment around there? She brought their company.
After she had fulfilled her bribes, she now had the right to hear what we were going to say. And when we poured the last cup, those things might get tricky. We miss this tea.
We must
pour the last cup. Mai, let us tell you, hey, we are your children. You have seen us grow in this village. We don't want bad things to happen to you. Your future daughter-in-law has said that she will wait at the Attorney General's office.
She has also said that she will not have any children because for her, she is woke, she is a career woman, and children are a distraction. In fact, she says that children will spoil her bikini body because those baby fats are not for her.
She wants to maintain her summer body.
Summer body.
By the time we had finished telling Mai Petronila these things, she was adjusting her lasso at the rate of 2 times per minute, boiling with anger. Who is this woman to come from wherever she has come from and say that my son will wed in an office? The whole essence of having a son with money is for him to wed in a church so that Mai Petronila dances the whole day to annoy her enemies.
Who is this woman who thinks she can come between Mai Petronila and her joy of holding her grandchildren in her own hands? Who is this woman?
By the time Mai Petronila had finished boiling, she thanked us, then gave us a chicken just for how much? Just go. Now, we set them at loggerheads successfully. We brewed a conflict that had Omwami in a situation where he had to choose between his mama and his mom. And you know how it goes. Mom never loses. She has never.
Now, looking back, we might just say we are the reason why Mom is dying a bachelor, why Mom is being buried behind his mother's house with a thorn implanted in his exit.
But also the man was a weak man.
Men of nowadays are weak, Bwana. Men, fight for your loves, Bwana. This generation is different. We are giving important information to women. And you guys are men, Bwana. Fight for your love.
Not just we say 2 or 3 bad things about your woman, you leave her.
Ojuang, let me tell you. Sometimes we tell you bad things about your woman so that you leave her, and then later we come and marry her. But do not listen to us. Be strong, man.
Sami, you know very well we have done these things with you. Sometimes we tell people bad things about their women to strengthen their relationship. It is a show of brotherhood. For example, how many times have I told you your girlfriend is ugly?
15.
Are you still not dating?
Hey, Bwana, how do you msichana? Bwana, that woman has a good habit. Anyway, muziki.
Hey,
back to that other story. They say there is no limit to human greed. And the more you have, the more you want.
Omwami had been placed at a place of vantage. The man was getting money like never before. But his heart kept telling him that he could still afford the love of Her Holiness, Prophetess Samantha.
Not that the woman also made it easy to avoid. They would bump into each other carelessly in the corridors. The woman joined her for prayer retreats, gave her tight hugs, those ones that make you stop thinking with the upper head, you start thinking with the lower ones. A game of cat and mouse. Both of them harboring feelings, but knowing the consequence of any small, dangerous move.
Now, one Thursday afternoon, a crisis meeting for the innermost circle was called. In this meeting, Intel had it that one of the members of the innermost circle was leaking important secret information to their enemies. Such an action puts the whole group at jeopardy.
Everyone in the innermost circle was aware that such actions that jeopardize operations might lead to someone losing everything they have, including their own lives. Everyone was now suspecting everyone. There was silence in that room.
Now, after the meeting, Omwami hurriedly went to the office of Her Holiness, Prophetess Samantha, and told her enough is enough. From that day onwards, he was not going to be her mole in the innermost circle because that is putting him in a very dangerous position.
The spiritual woman with a warm personality just told him to relax, sit down. There's something important you need to be told.
The prophetess told Omwami that she had put him in that place in the first position and he had served his purpose.
That the information that Omwami has been providing to Prophetess Samantha is part of a bigger plan for Prophetess Samantha to take over the operations of Pastor Apostle Samuel, including the church and the businesses.
She also told Omwami that she was the architect of that operation. She helped the apostle to set up that operation, only for the apostle to sideline her. Now she wanted revenge. She wanted to fight for what was rightfully hers.
To make matters worse, it was not God's fault that he did not have children. It was not even her fault that he did not have children. It was Apostle Samuel's fault. Because up to now, nobody had come to claim that they had his child. That man was the problem. For this, prophetess wanted to do away with him, take over operations, and then make Omwami the prince of the operation, and God willing, the father of her children. That sounds like a good proposal, right?
The following morning, the apostle summoned Omwami. The guy panicked. Did the apostle know about his secret dealings with the prophetess? Why was he summoning him? You know, the apostle does not summon anyone just like that. In fact, it was very rare for any church member to be called into the apostle's office.
For 2 minutes straight in the office, Apostle Samuel just looked at Omwami straight in the eyes, as if he was trying to read his mind. Then told him, Omwami, just come to me.
Omwami panicked even more. Did the apostle know about his secret dealings with the prophetess? Is this a test? Is the apostle and the prophetess in cahoots to test him? Should he die? Is he dead?
Before he could open his mouth and betray himself, the apostle informed him that everyone in the inner circle was suspecting he is the mole, because information started leaking when he joined. For that, he had a target on his back, and it's only the apostle who would save him, because he has been in this field for long. He also informed Omwami to tread carefully, because things have started going south. and raids had been done on several disability centers across Kenya. Madam Martinez was in fact under arrest as they were speaking.
Well, Omwami organized a clandestine meeting with Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha. Here, he told the prophetess that she was not in on her plans to unseat the apostle as the head of the operations. He also told her that he was not ready to be her lifetime lover because his life was now in danger.
The prophetess just laughed. She laughed. Omwami was wondering, what have I said that is funny? The prophetess was laughing at the fact that Omwami thought he had her saying this. She told Omwami that if he dared turn her down, she would tell the apostle that Omwami had approached her and wanted to jeopardize their marriage.
She also told Omwami that she has records of all the secret meetings they have been having together, as Omwami was leaking important secret information from the innermost circle. And anytime Omwami turns her down, she will gladly send those recordings to the apostle himself.
This is when Omwami realized he was in danger. On one side, Apostle Samuel, a man who does not trust him anymore and is only self. On the other side, an angry wife who wants revenge. And somewhere the government was also getting interested in his activities.
Omwami did not know whether to be happy because of all the attention, or to just run away, go back to the village and hide somewhere where people cannot find him. But then he knew they both needed him, because their operation will only be successful after using Omwami's credentials as a certified engineer. So what should Omwami do?
This is the state of the age. What should Omwami do?
No, if it were you, Robert, what would you have done?
As you seek answers, allow us to interrupt this story.
Ulale salama, ulale salama kijana, ulale salama. Ulale salama, ulale salama. Ulale salama kijana, ulale salama. Weli ulale salama, ulale salama. Ulale salama kijana, ulale salama. Ulale salama, ulale salama. Ulale salama kijana, ulale salama. Hida izuna, urakuzuna. Veja bizuna mama vivani kone.
House that is very sweet and interesting at the same time.
You see, a woman has come forth claiming that her 2-year-old boy belongs to Omwami.
Good news. Good news.
This is great news.
This is great news.
God does not leave his people. Omwami prayed to the right God one. Hey.
Although this child does not look anything like Omwami. But as long as there is a child, we can support this. You see, Omwami's contingency plan is going to save the whole family from embarrassment.
My Petronilla is a religious person. She's supporting this.
You see, my Petronilla, just this once, she is happy that her son has committed the sin of fornication. Because this sin is going to save her entire family from embarrassment.
Save her as a woman, according to Amiyaka. For the first time, he has smiled.
What?
Where was he going to hide his face in this village? I am looking supportive here, but I would have been the first one.
You would have talked about it.
Not now.
Oh.
After the funeral.
Okay. You see, Sejede Mdina has been summoned. She is the current matriarch of the village. She has been tasked with conducting traditional DNA, you know, looking at the ears, looking at the eyes, the size of the mouth.
Is she convinced?
She does not look convinced. What about the boys who used to?
No. Those of us who hung out with Omwami 2 years ago. It cannot be true. But we cannot say it. A man has found something to hide his shame. And men protect men.
Yes, men are there for men.
Let the man be buried in a proper way. Where were we? Let whatever happens. But that child, that is one lucky bastard.
So he is a bastard.
The lucky one for that fact.
Okay, why is the bastard like?
Man has left money.
Oh.
Naturally, who is going to inherit this money?
Sejede Mdina.
Whether was I to be born out of wedlock?
You would have been a lucky bastard.
Bastard, I'm not be suffering in this Nairobi doing shows to pay rent. Anyway, they don't want to be buried properly.
Let us go in peace.
Let us finish this other story. We go home.
Yeah, because you know, being buried behind his mother's house with
And something behind was going to be very, very, very nice. Now,
24 hours, 30 minutes later, Omwami was summoned again in the office of the apostle Dr. Samuel. And as soon as he entered into the office, the apostle locked the doors, shut the windows, drew the curtains. When Omwami was in, he told Omwami that the crisis has just deepened.
a newspaper article has been written about the disability centers, and they have linked the church to that operation. Now reporters were snooping around the church, asking very difficult questions.
Also, arrests have been made, and key members of the innermost circle are now disappearing without a trace.
Omwami was advised to get rid of anything that incriminates him and look for a lawyer like Maxi here. Write his will, because things the way they were, they are not going to end well. Things have become.
I'm telling you, the apostle never left his office. All windows and doors always closed, curtains shut. Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha was always there,
supporting her husband in these tough times. These people who talk to the snake. She was the architect of all these problems, but she was there providing support.
How can this happen? Who can explain this for us? You know, men we don't understand.
For 7 days straight, Omwami worked to convince the prophetess that he was on her side, while at the same time looking supportive towards Apostle Samuel, a man who looked like he was going to lose this war.
One morning, the apostle called Omwami into his office and told him that there has been a new development in this story.
There was another danger. The warlords of Congo were worried about their operation, and they wanted to meet Omwami personally in order to iron out issues, to be assured that their operation is intact.
Their safety and security has been assured. All they had to do is make sure they get to Champala, Uganda the following day, so that they can assure the warlords that the operation is still intact. Now Omwami and the apostle left and went to pack their things in order to get ready to go to Champala, Uganda the next morning.
As Omwami was packing his clothes, preparing notes here and there, preparing a presentation, he received a text from Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha, warning him not to go.
At the same time, Apostle Samuel was pressurizing him to make a solid presentation because their life depended on it.
The following morning, as Omwami and the apostle were packing their belongings in the white Range Rover, Her Holiness Prophetess Samantha came, hugged her husband tightly, and then signaled Omwami not to go. But Omwami defied her. He decided to stand by Apostle Samuel. The guy who stood by him when he had nothing, was in the trash, in the garden.
Now, from her front porch, Prophetess Samantha saw her husband, Apostle Dr. Samuel, boarding their white Range Rover. Omwami also boarded the Range Rover, dressed in a white shirt, khaki trousers, Supreme designer shoes, and a Dolce & Gabbana bomber jacket. At that very moment when the car was leaving, Prophetess Samantha knew that she had to do what had to be done.
Here, Omwami reminded the prophetess of Isaiah chapter 53, verse 7. He looked oppressed, like a lamb being led to slaughter, and yet he did not utter a word. Now what we are telling you this evening, Dominguez, if someone calls you to the side and tell you they want to teach you how to make quick money in this Nairobi of ours, run very fast.
If you find yourself in a love triangle and it involves people who are married, who sleep on one bed, cover themselves with one sheet, my friend, run very fast.
Today we commit Omwami ashes to ashes, dust to dust, so that his soul may be promoted to glory. Glory, glory, glory.
Something
has killed a man.